And if you're listening on the podcast, welcome back. And after some technical difficulties from the Southern River Band, Kramer. Cal, how are you, mate?
Bloody beautiful, my friend. How you going?
Mate, I was looking at your review, The Reviewer, and I was like thinking, this bloke, if I don't do a good job here, he's going to make a video about me. So I was going to interview the interviewer, perhaps, but I haven't read like a great 3,000 word, Rolling Stone style feature on the band yet. I'm sure one will be written, but I was thinking, like, when I was doing a bit of research, it might start with this fella called Bear. I guess I'd have to track him down and interview him. But is that where the story started for the Southern River Band?
Well, it is a good point to start it at, because I do think it's quite an interesting story, yes. And I do believe he still lives around here in Thornley somewhere. So we had a deal one day that if I ever make $1 million, I've got to buy him a white Porsche. It can be secondhand, but it's got to be a white one.
Who is he, mate? What is his name? If I was writing the story for Rolling Stone, I'd have to find out his real name.
I don't think he likes people knowing his real name, so we'll call him Bear. But me and Ant, our original bass player, used to drink down at the Thornley Tavern all the time, and he used to come down there and be like, he had Bear in big stainless steel rings on his knuckles. And we always thought he was quite intimidating or whatever. Then one day he started chatting to us. He was like, "Oh, you guys in a band, are you?" And at that point, I'd just sort of been writing a few songs, and we were like, yeah. And then he's like, "Oh, I'll get you a gig down here." And we're like, "Yeah, sure, mate." And then he came back in, I think it was like 2 days later, and was like, "Right, are you playing here in 2 weeks?" And we had to pull together a whole bunch of covers, and that's kind of basically the seed that required some watering from the Southern River Band to grow, my friend.
And if he hadn't come along, would we be sitting here now, or do you think it would have happened anyway?
Oh yeah, no, I was already doing stuff. It was just that first gig. That was the moment that it was like, all right, now we're actually rolling. So
yeah.
And started out playing 3 sets of covers a night and just throwing in some originals, and then just sort of honing our craft, if you will.
Yeah.
And we just started, adding in more originals, and then went from there.
In some of those early interviews, you were being compared to Justin Hawkins before you even met him, or you'd seen him on TV, and then you were on stage with him at a castle. When you're over here a month ago, that's quite a journey, isn't it? I mean, obviously there was some sort of connection there. He maybe thought you were a bit of a kindred spirit in some way.
Yeah, I mean, it's pinch yourself sort of shit being able to play with him, because I idolised him growing up, and we toured with him twice in Australia, and then played with him in Sweden as well, and played with him obviously at the Warwick Castle one, which was a bit of a beautiful moment. But yeah, we call those guys great friends now, and they've been fucking obviously super, super poignant in being able to launch us. I mean, if we didn't get on his podcast, I don't think we would have been in Europe this year the way that it was, and it's absolutely unreal, mate.
So many Australian bands have sort of come over here, and they tend to do, like Airborne is one that comes to example, going all the way back to Akadaka. There's something that they do better than the bands around here do. You know what I mean? There's something different, and it tends to really sort of capture the imagination of the audience here, and it tends to resonate. What do you think that thing is? What do you think that thing is? That special thing?
I've got no idea, to be honest, mate. I'm just happy that people like the songs.
Yeah.
I just if it's the rock and roll thing and people connect with real rock and roll music, obviously, which Airborne are, and we try to be as well. So I guess it's there's not a whole heap of bands doing what we're doing out there. So I think obviously the Australian thing would be a little bit exotic over in your part of the world now. Well, I say that as 2 guys with Australian accents talking to each other. But I think you know what I mean. Now it's when we were over there, people are going, "Oh, what are kangaroos like?" Sharks, like all that sort of shit. Where I'm going, every day for us over here. But you can start telling them some pretty good stories about kangaroos or whatever. But
about riding them to work and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. They go, where are they? It's like they're fucking everywhere, mate. Go play golf in Armidale. You're going to see about 30 of them.
And Matt, I'm very interested in the kind of Vice City series, and that whole is it inspired by sort of and the lyrics and the whole vibe? Is it inspired by like true crime podcasts, or you know, like you seem to be really into that sort of stuff, sort of organized crime and all that sort of stuff. Where does that sort of interest come from?
Well, so the Vice City one, there's a lyric in there, plane on the tarmac, bullet in a backpack, and
Yeah.
that was that happened to us. Well, a group of people I was with at the airport one day, and wasn't with the band, but that was quite an interesting experience to be a part of and see firsthand. And kind of always have had the interest in the sort of I like to call, people would call them criminals. I just call them, guys trying to make an honest buck in the modern world, mate. And I've always found it super interesting, and then always wanted to do a movie for it. Ideally one day we're going to get to do, because there's going to be 5 Vice Cities all up. It's all, one big long story. And I'd like to do a proper movie one day. But with this one, I was like, we're going to put together, The Godfather 2, The Departed, Goodfellas, Casino, all those sorts of movies, and put our own little spin on it. And obviously with a nod and a wink, and yeah, just a bit of fun, mate. But I do have quite the interest in the underbelly of the world, if you will.
That's the word. I love that lyric. We all must meet our maker, but yours will make it look like it's suicide. But yeah, can you rewind a little bit and tell us what happened at the airport?
Nah, absolutely not.
Bullet in a backpack, playing on the
Yep.
tarmac. Anything else? Anything?
Well, no, mate. I'm going to, I plead the fifth on that. Is pleading the fifth not saying anything? Because that's what I'm going to do with that.
Okay. What about?
It's a real story, that bit.
Okay. Well, I guess if I was working for Rolling Stone, it'd be my job to find out more. But the videos are high end. Your music videos, for a young band. How do you manage that? How do you manage to do these great high end cinematic videos?
I mean, I've always had a massive interest in. I like the idea of telling stories through whatever it is, whether it be the written word, the oral word, or visually. So when we go into these sorts of things, I'll sort of have everything written out. Well, we get the guys with the top quality camera gear and everything, but I'm like, here's what this is, and this is what we want to capture. So it's kind of laid out from start to finish, sort of thing. They've got a very particular way that I want things to work. Where it's story structure or whatever. Because to me, I just look at it as like writing a song, but you're trying to visualize that. And when you're listening to the song, say you're not watching the music video, but you're listening to the song, what does that movie look like in your head? And then let's fucking put that out there and try to create that. So,
have you had any training?
The kind words about the quality. Nah, mate. Nah.
You had no training in any of this? No.
No. I just like to think things through and be like, fuck, what would I like to see?
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
More the merrier if people like it.
Obviously, you kind of the geography and where you're from is a huge, including the name of the band, right down to the name of the band, and you're always mentioning Thornley Tavern and stuff. And I kind of think even if you play Madison Square Garden, you'll still be talking about that stuff. For those of us who aren't from Perth, what are the characteristics of the area you're from that are so sort of essential to the image of the band and to your identity? What is it about the area?
Oh man, it's just everyday working people out here, man. It's just a suburban dream. And, the funny thing is, nothing happens out here. You know what I mean? We've probably done the most shit in Thornley out of anybody ever. And, but it's just home, really. It's just home full of, hard work and good, honest people. A few little bad boys as well that you can draw some inspiration from, But, yeah, the suburban dream's somewhere out about 25 minutes from Perth City itself, I always say it's 20 minutes from fucking nowhere.
And I just wanted to ask you about you mentioned about that Thornley's home and blah blah blah. What about surely people in the business would be trying to get you to relocate? Closer to the big markets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Is that something that you'd think of doing? Would you think of moving to England, or would you think of moving east? What would
Well, the moving east thing, I think, is a bit of a fallacy sometimes, because I know a lot of people that have done it. I mean, obviously, touring in itself is extremely fucking expensive, no matter how you do it. But the reality is we know that we really want to keep giving this Europe thing a crack, because it's seeming to click.
Mm.
It clicked instantly better than in one tour than it has in Australia for 10 years, you know?
Yeah.
So we're going to be spending a lot more time over there, and whatever that looks like, you know, we're grabbing it with both hands. But I dare say that Perth's always going to be home.
Mm.
Got some great friends out here, and, you know, I don't think I could be one of those people that, you know, goes and lives in some fucking city chasing fame or some bullshit.
Mm.
But I'm more than willing to go there and do what needs to be done if we're taking our show on the road, you know?
I'm I guess twice your age. Do you find most of your audience is my age, or you know, like because obviously I just what the impact of your age on the whole thing is really interesting because, like I think you said, I went to the show at Bristol at the Thekla, which I didn't know was a boat till I got there, but you know, you were talking about, you know, you got described as this and that, and you were like, well, I don't remember any of that. I just know that I like it, you know, like how is there a bit of a, because of the genre, is there a bit of a sort of generation gap there where your audience is either, you know, they're either like your age and your mate's age, or they're mine, and there's not much in between, you know? What's and how, what impact does that have on what you do, you know?
I mean, obviously, you know, I imagine the more nostalgic thing for people of your generation and even older, you know.
Mm.
But it seems to be really resonating with heaps of young people because, you know, even say that Bristol show, it was
Mm.
just ran with all young crew down the front.
Mm.
And I think that as people are discovering things that they may not have even known existed,
Mm.
especially in Australia, because radio doesn't play rock bands at all unless, you know, you've got like Triple M sort of playing your Powderfingers and shit like that.
Mm.
But any new ones, it's pretty slim pickings to be able to discover it. And when you see young, like I'm talking, you know, 18, 19-year-olds seeing this for the first time, they're like, what the fuck is this? And I often tell them, like, mate, we're not reinventing the wheel here. You know, all you got to do is look a little bit back in time and you'll see some pretty good shit, man. You should try it out sometime. It's fucking awesome. But yeah, we
Sorry.
literally have like anyone from fucking 18. That's, you know, I'm sure there's younger crew as well, but we don't really do all ages shows. But we will do one day. But it's more like 18 to like 65, and you'll see all sorts of different people from all walks of life, and it spreads out pretty evenly. So yeah.
Who do we have to thank for you being into this music? Is it someone in your family?
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah. So my earliest living memory, the first thing I can remember about being alive is watching the VHS of Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble live at the Elmer Combo. Something I still do regularly. But yeah, my parents are both musicians and yeah, massive music fans and everything, and we like all the exact same shit. So it was kind of implanted. It was almost like a genetic pass down, really.
Yeah. And like I got to ask, because Justin Hawkins was very taken with the hair, which he described as a barnet, which is a good English word. Have,
Cool.
have you always had the barnet, or is it actually part of the costume now, or is it actually, would you have it anyway, even if you weren't in a band, you know?
Yeah, I've just had this haircut basically since I grew my hair as soon as I could, and then just cut it like this. I cut it myself, so I was just like, this is what I want, and yeah, I haven't really changed. And we don't really do costumes per se, just what we do.
You do make your own trousers and you do cut your own hair, is that right?
I cut my own hair. I used to make my own pants, but I've got a lady, Metal Threads, she's called Steph. She's fucking great. She's made the last few ones. I sort of go through and look at her shit and go, all right, I've got these ideas. Do you reckon you could do this for us? And yeah, get whatever's sort of applicable to the tour.
Final thing, I saw an interview you did in Byron Bay with someone who does sunglasses. Anyway, but you said that you're a 20 Jack and Cokes a night guy. Were you taking the piss there, or, or is
I
that
could do 20
serious?
Jack and Cokes. If I don't have to do anything the next day, I can do 20 Jack and Cokes. You space them out a little bit, but you're trying to go. I'm more of a cocktail guy now. Sugars and that. A couple of Long Island iced teas, a couple of espresso martinis, and we're good to go.
On tour? On tour, do you have to kind of, you know, is it a bit like being an athlete? You got to look after yourself a bit more with the voice and all that, or at your age, not really?
Nah, fucking oath you do, man. I'll drink like four. I'll probably have 1.5 litre bottles every day, just drinking in the van, which makes it fun for everybody else because you just got to piss every 5 minutes. But yeah, hydration is the key to success, mate. Sounds like I'm
Yeah.
taking the piss about that. Well, hydration also leads to taking a piss, but yeah, no, you got to stay on top of it.